Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quest Trust Company Power Play Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I get the privilege of teaching today's class. I don't teach a whole lot of classes anymore for Quest because honestly, you guys like to hear from outside speakers. But what's unique about this is I am a real investor myself. So I was asked to actually teach this class because I get to play both sides of the fence. I am a retirement expert. I work with Quest Trust Company as a senior IRA specialist and the sales officer. But I'm also a real estate investor. I own multiple rentals. I also own notes and a lot of mineral rights and oil and gas investments. So, as we go through today's topic, which is all about how to unlock unlimited amounts of capital for your real estate deals, take note and ask me questions. We have a moderator in there, and the minute you ask a question, I'll pop it up on the screen as long as it's not something personal. And we'll go ahead and tackle that question right on the spot. So make sure you're leveraging both of these cases and you're utilizing myself, utilizing our moderator to make sure you get your questions answered as we go about these motions. We're going to keep trying to host these classes every single Tuesday. And if there is any topics that you're interested in, just let our moderator know. Right now, put it in the comment section or the chat box down there, depending on which platform you're on right now. And we'll go ahead and get those up to the marketing team, so that way we can go ahead and do a class on those topics. This has been a class that a lot of people have wanted for a long period of time, and I'll be sharing my screen and unsharing my screen for certain aspects of it. So with that being said, we're going to dive right on into today's topic. And once again, it's all about how to unlock unlimited capital with self-directed IRAs, but this really holds true for any real estate deal you might be looking at. So if you're out there and you're a syndicator, raising capital for that multifamily deal or storage unit or whatever it might be. If you're a fix and flipper, if you're a renter, it doesn't matter. This is the class for you guys. So as always, we like to start with our disclaimer. Remember, as a real estate investor and as someone who works for Quest, I can never give you tax, legal, or investment advice, nothing along those lines in this type of atmosphere. I'm only here to give you the best education possible. And as we go through these motions, remember, leverage the moderator and we'll get your questions answered right away. All these materials, if you guys want the PowerPoint, just let me know. I'll email it right over to you. I'm very open about these things. And I want to make sure you guys get any questions you have answered. So welcome, everyone. Notice how the questions will pop right up here on the screen. Now, before we dive into how to unlock capital, we have to give ourselves a good baseline. So I always want to start every class with what is a self-directed IRA? So what is it? If we're live in person, if you guys have ever seen me teach a class, I'm always going to call on the new person in the classroom that's never heard me talk. And I ask them right off the bat, what is a self-directed IRA? And to this day, I've been doing this now for coming up on pretty close to a decade. I have never had the right answer in 10 years. So what is it? Guys, it's just a marketing term. It's made up. It does not exist. The IRS and Congress do not recognize the term self-directed IRAs. They just call it an IRA. So why does Quest call it a self-directed IRA? It's because we let you invest into alternative assets such as real estate. If you set up a self-directed IRA at Fidelity, they will only allow you to invest in things like stocks, bonds, CDs, mutual funds. But if you set up that exact same account with Quest, we will only allow you to invest in things like real estate or oil and gas. So don't think that one is better than the other. It's just different. So during this whole process, when I refer or I talk about a self-directed IRA, I'm really just talking about your retirement account. So keep that in mind. Next, what accounts can be self-directed? Really, these are the 7 most popular ones you'll see here on the screen, such as a traditional IRA or Roth IRA. Most of you guys out there might have a traditional IRA and not realize it. These are what your old 401ks will turn into, or your old 403bs or TSPs or TRSs or pension plans, right? They all eventually will turn into a traditional IRA. A lot of people like that Roth IRA. That's the one that grows tax-free. So you hear a lot of people talk about that, especially investors. There's also employer plans such as SEP, Simples, and solo 401ks. Those are really for the self-employed individuals looking to shovel in a whole bunch of money, or just things for like checkbook control or anything. Lastly, are specialty accounts such as the Coverdell account and HSA account. All of these 7 types of accounts can be self-directed. So make sure if you're interested in setting up one of these, you just let us know. We can do it within a 24 to 48 hours. It happens very quickly. With that basis being said, now we're going to dive right on into today's topic. Remember, how do we unlock capital? If you're taking this class, I am going to assume that you are the borrower. You're taking this class because you want to borrow money, right, for your investment. I don't care what the investment is, you are the borrower for this. So let's start by looking at the borrower's perspective. How are you going to make money now using someone else's funds? Dave Ramsey will tell you, hey, don't do that. That's bad. Debt is bad. I argue that it's not. I argue that it's good if it's done properly. Credit card debt, absolutely terrible. But using debt for real estate from the right individuals, we got to figure out how to do that. And I like to call it OPI, right? Or other people's IRAs. It's not a legal term or anything like that. I just call it OPI, right? You also hear some people call it OPM for other people's money. That's fine as well. But we got to figure out how we can use other people's money to go ahead and what I call create your own private financing source. Now, if I can figure out where I can create this private financing source and where I can gather my capital for my investments, that's the key. That's how we become wealthy. That's how we unlock this capital, is knowing where this private financing source comes from. So I notice it actually comes from 3 different areas. Right? One being the big banks. Now, when I say a big bank, what do I mean? I'm talking things like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, right? Usually those banks that you go into and there's a teller behind the thing. You set up a checking and savings account. So we can get capital from big banks, right? Where else? What I'm going to refer to as a hard money lender. Now, I think this is funny because if there is any hard money lenders on here, well, what's unique is the hard money lenders don't call themselves that, but I'm going to. So we're going to define what that means. And then lastly, I'm going to separate a hard money lender from a private money lender. So this is where we're going to get our capital for all of our investments. So I got a great question from here. What is the best way to engage a lender? I got a great large rehab, Virginia, and I'm experienced 22 years, and you're an agent. I love this type of question. So if we're going to engage a lender, we have to first put them in one of these 3 categories you see here on the screen. So you had the best timing. If it's a big bank, if it's a hard money lender or a private money lender, we're going to engage them differently. So let's talk about that. I think I'm going to be able to answer your question as we go along. If we don't, re-ask the question. I'll post it back up here and we'll tackle it right then and there. Love the question. All the options for you, Dutch Andrews. I like your name. That's awesome. All right, so let's keep going. Once again, we're going to start with the big banks. So if I say a big bank, once again, I'm going to be thinking of Wells Fargo or Bank of America. Usually when I hear someone talking about interest rates or something like that, these are the banks they're thinking of. They're thinking of you going down to the physical bank and asking for a loan for your real estate investment. Anyone who's doing that is probably inexperienced. They haven't been around the block. They don't know how to do the deal yet. I see this a lot when I go and I meet that brand new person at the RIA, at the Real Estate Investment Association. This is where they think their money's coming from. But honestly, these big banks, they don't want to talk to us. They don't want to deal with us real estate investors. So when I say us, that's what I mean. Right? We're too much of a hassle. Right? We really, really are. And the loan, I'm letting you know, won't close properly. You will lose your deal. Why? Because the big banks, they want too much. Right? They want everything from the credit score to your tax statements to your job history to your blood sample and firstborn child sometimes. I swear, it is such a pain to try to get one of these loans. If you've ever purchased a homestead property, you will experience this. Right? Homesteads, we are not going to consider as an investment homestead where you live personally. It takes forever for the bank to properly close the loan. So we're going to put all these big banks aside. If that's where you're trying to go, that is not where you're unlocking your capital. You're going to be stuck and your deals will not get funded. Mark my words. So let's go to the next source. Let's go to that hard money lender. So Mr. Andrews, answer your question. You don't go to the big banks. So let's figure out how we go to those hard money lenders then. If we're going to one, let's define what they mean. A hard money lender, you'll probably find at any local RIA event, right? They have a booth, right? They're specifically designed to work with investors every single time. They're going to vet your deals. They have some high fees that they might not tell you up front, but they're going to be there. You're usually going to pay some points to get the money, but what's nice is it's guaranteed funding. So I love working with hard money lenders for any of these cases. But when we're working with them, if you're going to be approaching a hard money lender, you better be approaching them with some cash in the bank, not experience. So we had a question up on the screen a minute ago. The guy said, hey, I got 20 plus years of experience. The hard money lender is going to put that to the side because what they're looking at is the deal itself. They are actually going to vet your investment. So if they're going to vet your investment, they want to make sure and know that everything is correct in the case of worst case scenario. What happens if the deal goes wrong? So that's why they're going through this. So this is really, really unique. They're looking at other things such as always your credit score, right? They want to know that you have good credit or at least decent credit. They will still ask for tax statements and maybe some money down. Call it 10%, 20%, 30% down, depending on the investment, what it's being used for. They were going to ask for things like the scope of the project, meaning what is your plan with this investment? If I'm buying a single family home, am I using it for a fix and flip? Am I going to refinance it out to a rental? Or am I going to go ahead and use it for an Airbnb? We see people utilize hard money lenders with single family homes very commonly. I'm raising capital and I need it to do my one single family home. You might consider that you're raising capital, but you're really not. You just need a small loan, right? $100,000, $200,000. That's pretty small. It really is in today's day and age. So we don't see people approach too many hard money lenders for a syndicated investment. What's a syndicated investment? One of those you guys see for limited partnerships like duplexes, multifamily, storage units, senior living facilities, hotels, any one of those. All of those out there are syndicated investments. Not too many people will go to a hard money lender for that. Now, if you want some good hard money lenders out there, check out one of the ones I have here on the screen. Blink Lending, Investor Loan Source, Jet Lending. I'm in Texas, so I know all three of these guys operate out of Texas. I've seen people utilize them with some good experiences. Always do your own due diligence, though. Once again, each one of these, they will fund your investment for you. They're going to vet the deal. You don't have to have a lot of experience. So I love hard money lenders because you don't need that experience behind the scenes. If you're approaching them because you have money down for the investment and you have a deal. So keep that in mind. So let's switch gears and then talk about where the real capital is. All right, if I'm doing single family homes, I get it. I ignore the big banks. I go to a hard money lender. Love it. But man, I am looking for what I'm going to call the real money, the private lenders. Someone that actually has money in their checking account and they're looking to invest in you. Someone who probably knows you personally, and you can now come up with interesting funding techniques, interesting ways to do this investment. Well, how do I approach one of these individuals? Very rarely are you approaching someone you do not know. Now, when I say this, I don't mean family. It could be family, right? It could be a brother, sister, an aunt, uncle, maybe even your parents or something like that you want them to invest in you. That's fine. But it also could be someone that you just know through networking. And I don't mean networking one time. Oh, I went to an event. I collected as many business cards as I could, and now I'm going to sit here and cold call each one of them to tell them to invest in me. Nah, no, guys. You're going to events. You're having a drink with someone. You get to know them over a period of time. The reason why, private lenders want rapport. Private lenders want to know who they're dealing with. You guys get to make up the rules as we go along. And you're going to see that here in just a minute. Everything's up for negotiation when it's someone who has capital between you, the borrower, and this lender. But Derek, if I ask someone, do they have money, right? What happens? Usually they're going to tell me, nah, man, I'm broke. I'm flat broke. I don't have any cash to lend. I don't have any money to invest in you. And this is actually very common. But they probably have more money than they realize. Because if you ask that same individual who said they were broke, well, do you have an IRA, a Roth IRA, a SEP, a simple, a 401k? Maybe do you have accounts for your kids? Maybe you have a health savings account? Each one of these retirement accounts, remember, they can use to invest in you, the borrower. So I love leveraging this aspect, but we got to know, where do people's capital sits? So let's look at some crazy statistics. I'm a nerd, y'all. So I like to look at statistics consistently. So if I look at statistics, the average American right now has about $39,000 just sitting in an IRA. Sitting, not invested. So you got 40 grand just sitting. You're out there looking for someone to invest in you. I'm willing to bet you can put that $40,000 to work for them. Now, some of you guys say, man, Derek, I don't want to set up a self-directed IRA. I'm not really familiar with this. Well, let's keep going with some of these statistics. 3% of all IRAs in the U.S. are invested in what we're going to call alternative assets. This is typically real estate and oil and gas. 3% of all IRAs. You ready for the crazy one? But 95% of all retirement accounts over $5 million are fully self-directed. So where is the wealthy money? Is it sitting in the IRA at Fidelity and Charles Schwab? Or is it sitting with a self-directed custodian? Think about that. My cited source is right here, right down below. So I only like to use cited sources when it comes from Congress or IRS or a really, really good source. So I did put it up there if anyone needs it. But I love these type of statistics. So if you're out there and you're looking to approach someone, you should be asking them, do they have a self-directed IRA? How much money do they have in retirement accounts? What is that retirement account currently doing? Most of the time, they don't know. If you ask someone, what's your 401k invested in? They have no idea. They're going to tell you large caps or stocks or mutual funds. What type of stocks? I don't know. Or they could take that same amount of cash and invest in you, the borrower. So, cited blue font with a blue background? Yeah, I know. My fault, Alfonso. I like that you called me out on it, but once again, I told everyone they can email me, and I will give them the PowerPoint. So, I'm not shy. I like that you called me out, though. Good job. Now, let's look at the borrower's perspective. If you are the borrower, there's some things you need to consider before you ever start approaching a private lender. First off, borrowing private money is all about, once again, I already said it, the relationship that you have. LOL, all good. Yep, see, I'm not shy. Remember, you got to have a good relationship with them. You really do. Otherwise, the investment will not work. Okay? I joke about this, but I say you got to be able to take the lender's temperature. Figure out their risk tolerance. If I'm dealing with a guy who's 80, 90 years old, he's going to have a much lower risk tolerance, right, than the kid who's 30 years old, who probably has a higher risk tolerance. Why? Just being more active, right? The guy who's 80 is looking just to live passively and doesn't want to deal with a lot of things. Whereas the kid that's 30 years old, they're going to be like, yeah, man, let's go all in. So you got to make sure you know who you're dealing with. And that comes back to building that relationship. Because there is not one system fits all. If you're the borrower, make the process as painless as you can for your lender. If you do this, it will attract other lenders. Remember, guys, I'm the IRA expert. I'm the self-directed IRA guy. So if they're using a self-directed IRA, what I think is unique about this is if you're going to go ahead and make this process painless for them, help them fill out things like the direction of investment. Cover their $100 fee. Little things like that, it will get you notice. And if they make it easy on them, once the deal is done, they're going to want to invest again. Protect your lender's interest at all cost. One of our clients, he hosts an event called the Katie Capital Investments. He does it once a month. I want to say it's the third or fourth Wednesday of the month here in our Houston classroom. His name's Rick Bressler, runs Katie Capital Investments. I got to meet him because he actually had a deal go wrong. But as his deal went wrong, what ended up ultimately happening is he took care of the lender that lent him money so well that every lender moving forward knew that Rick would take care of him, no matter what. It gave him a good reputation. Now he's built a huge empire based off that, and it's actually really unique to see that he always takes care of his lender's needs. So keep that in mind that even if it means you're going to lose money and you're the borrower, if you lose money and you still were able to take care of your lender, guess what? You did it right, and they're going to attract better people. Switching gears, what will the lender be looking at? If you're going to be the borrower, you got to think of what would the lender be considering. So things like most lenders won't loan on something they don't want to own. I don't like to invest in things like remanufactured homes or mobile homes. So if you call me and you want me to lend you money for that, I'm probably not going to do it, because if I have to foreclose on you, I don't want to have to deal with these type of things. So unique things just to consider. Generally, a lender is not going to advance you funds for repairs. Now, some of them will, but they might ask you to do draws. They might want to check on the property. They might want to just see the receipts that you used the money for what you said it was done for. So don't be upset about that if you're dealing with single family homes. Now, in syndication, you don't have to worry about that. Usually they're going to invest in you. They're not expecting some sort of return for several years. Next, they probably won't lend money on something they're uncomfortable dealing a foreclosure with. Prime example, my grandmother will never lend me money for a single real estate deal, because if the deal goes wrong, she doesn't want to have to foreclose on me and take me to court. Can you imagine how awkward that would be in Thanksgiving? So most lenders won't be lending on something they don't feel comfortable with. So once that gets back to make sure you can make them feel comfortable. Could a lender also be partnered with your IRA account? Absolutely. Sometimes in these cases, we'll call those an equity appreciation loan, or it could just be interest, or however you want to structure it, but it is very, very common. Great question. Next, other lender perspective. Remember, if you're the borrower, you want to take all these things into consideration as if you're the lender, right? If the loan goes into default, they're not going to delay. They're going to take action immediately, or they should. Now, if that's the case, guess what? Don't be scared. Make sure that it's easy for them to get a hold of you. Don't be the guy that's hiding, right? That's what creates bad reputation. That's where word starts to spread. Think about it from a restaurant standpoint. The last time you went to a restaurant and you had a good meal, you thanked the waiter or the waitress, you gave them a big tip, and you left. Last time you went to a restaurant, though, and you had a bad experience, you pulled out your phone and you left a Yelp review almost immediately. Most people will leave bad reviews long before they leave a good review. So if the loan goes into default, make sure it's easy for the lender to get a hold of you. It's okay. Bad deals happen. It doesn't make you a bad guy. Okay? Work with them. Right? Most lenders will want to collect money like interest monthly or quarterly. If you're a syndicator and you're raising a bunch of capital for like that multifamily deal, you probably want to consider making at least a quarterly payment, even if it means raising additional capital. Now, some syndicators will agree against this, but once again, if you're looking for real private lenders, this is things that they're looking for, okay? Lastly, if they're unsure about the loan, they're probably going to ask an attorney to review it. This means not the borrower's attorney. So, if it's not the borrower's attorney, aka yours, it has to be theirs. Don't be upset about that. As a matter of fact, it might even cost you a little bit of money. Tell the lender that you don't mind paying their attorney fee, the $300 or whatever it is for their attorney, just to review the documents real quick. Let's see, wait, Monica said something. Please send me the presentation link so that you can watch it later. I lost sound. You got it, Monica. We'll get that sent right over to you. All right. Last thing is insurance-wise. I'm going to put all these up here because usually a lender on any single thing, they're going to want to make sure there's title insurance, maybe some sort of hazard like fire insurance or flood insurance, something like that. That's okay. Get the insurance that they want and send it over to them. Insurance is cheap, and it's always a great way to protect your lender. So with all that being said, we're going to go through and we're going to fly through some quick case studies. The key thing I want everyone to remember, though, guys, is as we go through these case studies, these are things that I've done personally. So just take that into consideration. It's nothing that Quest has done. Next, if you're raising capital, we have those two real categories. 3, if you want to count the big banks, we're going to ignore them. Hard money lenders and private money lenders. Hard money lenders, you got to come with some money down. Private lenders, you got to come with a good relation. That is it. If you have a good relation, you can unlock capital like you've never seen before, and you can build a great rapport. And lastly, remember, where is people's capital sitting? Their capital sits inside the IRA, inside those 401ks. There's more money just sitting there, not even doing anything. Remember, the average American has 40 grand just chilling. So, that being said, let's go ahead and look at some pretty standard basic case studies. Let's see what this case study 1 is. Lending and borrowing. I don't even know what this one is. Okay. So a friend of mine named Waleed, what was funny is he found a house. It was $120,000 to buy it. The rehab was in between $60,000 and $70,000. And then his plan was to refinance it and keep it as a rental. And the ARV was right around the 275 mark. Now, what's unique is Waleed actually already went through and purchased the property and had money for the rehab, but not enough. So what he actually asked me for was $30,000. Pretty small loan. It really, really was. Giving me a first lien position with 9% interest and a couple of points on the back end. Love this type of deal because it was super, super simple, super, super basic. So notice me and Waleed, the way we met was actually through his dad. His dad was a client of mine, recommended his son comes to our events. He started coming to our Quest Expo and our QuestCon events, very similar to what many of you guys are doing right here in the chat box. And we just got to know each other. So it made me feel comfortable as a lender to lend him money. Unique thing, though, I actually didn't have 30 grand. What I ended up doing is I structured the deal this way is I took not just my IRA, but, and this is actually a real picture of the promissory note right here, but it was multiple IRAs. If you notice, my IRA, my health savings account, my wife's IRA, and even her dad's IRA. And we put all these IRAs in one big bucket and did a loan to Waleed. So that way we took our small amount of cash in our IRA to get the money working. This was nice. And ultimately, notice the borrower was able to profit now. Now, what's funny about this, the way the borrower was able to profit is they took my cash to get their deal done. But he profited in a second way. He did me right. He gave me a really cheap deal. I got to be honest, he probably could just put the 30 grand on a credit card and didn't need me. But what Waleed was trying to do was build rapport with myself. So in doing so, he didn't build rapport just with me and my wife, right? If we look at the note, he also built rapport with my wife's dad. The old guy that's retired that has a bunch of money just sitting in the checking account and his IRA. Well, guess what? Once the deal was done, which he made it very quickly, very painless on us, he said, hey guys, I got some more deals. Do you want to maybe look at these ones? It's going to be a little bit more than 30,000. It'll be 100,000, 150,000. Absolutely. He did us right, and we were so interested that we wanted to proceed and look at other investments with him. So notice, sometimes you got to give up something to make a good partner. You really, really do. I still work with Waleed to this day, even though this deal was done all the way back in 2019. All right. Case study 2. Remember, guys, we're just flying through some of these. It was actually a second lien position. So the original borrower borrowed $150,000 actually from Jet Lending, which was one of the lenders I mentioned prior. They were buying the house for $120,000, 50 grand in rehab, $300,000 ARV. Pretty standard, good looking deal. But they found mold. And the mold was all in the bathroom, and they actually needed an extra 10 grand to remodel a specific bathroom they didn't plan on remodeling. Well, if we notice, if we do the math right, needing an extra $10,000 isn't going to make or break the deal, but they really didn't have it. And because a hard money lender, aka Jet Lending in this case, already lent the money, they had the first lien position. So they approached me, asked if I would take a second lien position. Most of the time you hear, nah, I don't want to do that. But it was such a small dollar figure. I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll do a second lien position and let's see what happens. So I kind of made up this list right here. And I wanted to contact Jet Lending first. I wanted to make sure, and I just happen to know the owner, the guys who owns Jet Lending, a guy named Eddie Gant. Said, hey, client of yours needs some extra cash. I wanted to lend. I wanted to make sure you know I'm going to take a second lien position. Notice the deal's not bad. He just needs more money. All right. So my thing was I had to do enough due diligence, not only on the borrower, but on the property itself. And part of the way I did that is by contacting the first lien holder. I also didn't want to over leverage myself. So if I'm going to lend money as a lender, right? I don't want to lend $100,000 on a second lien position, but 10 grand, I was willing to walk away if something happened. I also used a really, really good attorney. So the attorney recommended that we had what's called an assignment of rent. Meaning if they choose to miss a payment, right? Obviously, I don't have a first lien position, but I can get first rights to any payments that might be made from a renter or anything along those lines. So maybe feel a little bit more comfortable in that position. Overall, we lent 10 grand. I charged as a lender 5 points. Now it sounds like a lot, but if we do the math on it, it's only $500. So it's actually pretty cheap. You know, we also had monthly payments of $100, and then I passed off all the fees to the borrower. Remember, and these examples, as you guys are going through this, you are the borrower. So sometimes we got to analyze the deal. Now, by me passing off fees to you guys, the borrower, make it easy on me. That's how we're going to build rapport. That's how you're going to unlock those additional capitals that might be needed. All right. At the end of the deal, we all profited. I made $500 plus they only used the money for 2 months. So $200 there. They borrowed $10,000 from me for 2 months and gave me $700 in profit. Not bad. It also helped because now a lot of people started to approach me for second lien loans, which I still do every once in a while. I don't have any active ones right now, but it's unique because I still see some of those come into play. I tell people all the time, these are just tools in your tool belt. That's it. Understand who is your borrower. Understand who is your lender. How do you approach them? Is it a hard money lender or is it a private money lender? Because we're going to approach these differently. The hard money lender, bring some cash. The private lender, bring experience and bring some sort of rapport. That's the goal. Now, I always like to make sure that we're using these tools wisely. Remember, Quest, we don't give tax, legal, or investment advice. I'm here just to help educate you guys to go through these processes. I want to see everyone out there set up a self-directed IRA. It's the best way to understand how to utilize it. If you're looking to borrow money from somebody from their retirement account, have a retirement account. Makes sense. If I went to the Ford dealership to buy a brand new Ford truck and the guy's driving a Chevy, well, I'm probably not going to buy a Ford. Same example. So set up your Roth IRA, set up your traditional IRAs, do some deals, even if they're small deals. They help you understand the process. It's easy to go through that process, right? You set up an account in 24, 48 hours. We charge you $100. You fund the account by moving over that old employer plan. Find someone you want to work with. If you're out there and you're listening to this, you're the borrower. You are step 3. So help that client set up an IRA. Help that client move in that old 401k so they can invest in you, the borrower. Help them complete their investment forms, and then Quest will send you guys an ACH or wire. It is really, really simple. It is. Remember, the whole goal of this class is to unlock capital. So private financing using self-directed IRAs, if we just look at all retirement accounts across the board, there's something like $28 trillion just in the U.S. retirement funds. That's everyone in the U.S. So find a way to capitalize and jump into that. The best places to do it is events like this where you're networking, whether it's in person or online, where you can exchange some easy information. You know, Quest, we will be hosting an event called our QuestCon live event in November on November 17th. So Freeman, if you want to put that link for this event here in the chat box, I'm going to talk about this real quick. What we're doing is this is going to be the first time ever that we're actually going to have all women speakers in this industry. So we're kind of excited for that. It will be 100% online, but it is free if you are a Quest client. This event will be, is this, yep. Ooh, that's not the link. So this event will be free as long as you are a Quest client. So if you're a Quest client, click that link that you see there on the screen. You can email us if you want to get registered for it. So it's nice to have. Once again, it is just 100% free to you. What we're doing is we're going to bring in so many different real estate speakers from across the U.S. They're going to be touching on things from Airbnbs, short-term rentals, a new thing that's coming out, mid-term rentals, long-term rentals, which is what we're really used to when we hear the term rental, but also syndications for multifamily and storage units. We'll bring in CPAs and tax attorneys and estate planners. Everything free for you to attend event, 100% online, from 9 to 4 p.m. Once again, you have to be a Quest client, so just let us know if you have any questions there. Any recommendations to find networking events? Well, yeah, absolutely. Depending on what state you're in. If you're in the state of Texas, just go to the Quest website. Right? We have a ton of events online where people come in on a consistent basis and host their own classes and teach their own classes there. In addition to that, honestly, just Google free real estate classes near me or free real estate events. There is so many of them. It is insane. Like, hold on, let's see. Can I do this real quick? Will it share this screen? Let's see. Sorry, guys. We're going to see if we can't. Boop. Share a different screen with you. Trying, guys. I'm trying. We're going to do this window. Bam. That's the one I want. So watch this. This is so simple. All right. So you're saying, where do we find these events? Let's just do, I do RIA near me. If I could type today. Need more coffee. RIA near me. All of these are events. There's one here on the 12th here in Houston, right? There's a bigger pocket events coming up. There's ones right here on Meetup. Look like this is on September 7th and 8th. Find a RIA. Like Houston Buyers Club. When's this one going to be? Houston Real Estate Networking Club, Realty Investment Community Association. There's tons of them, guys. There really is. The Rich Club versus the RIA in Houston. Texas Real Estate Investors Association, the Texas RIA. Like, all these two guys that you see here on the screen are all free. Free. So where do you find your next networking event? Google it. It will pop up, I promise. Oh, so Gabriel here saying you recommend not going to free events. I found that paid events have higher caliber. I would agree with Gabriel 100%. The problem when you go to paid events is sometimes the paid events are going to, if you're brand new, you might start spending all this money to go to these networking events, and you're depleting your marketing bucket. But I love what Gabriel said. Now, I'm not telling you to go to the event where the guy's sitting there and he's saying, hey, if you want to work with me, I'm going to charge you 50 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand, or whatever. Sign up for a coaching program. That is not the events I'm talking about. There should be real estate events. One I like to go to is called the Wealth Club, right? It's a free event that is hosted the last Thursday of the month. They have free beer, all right? And it's nice. I can come in. There's only about 20 or 30 people there, and we all network to pitch each other investments. It's really simple, you know? But Gabriel brings up a great point. You don't want to deal with too many tire kickers. A lot of times you go to these events, and I always say you find nothing but wholesalers. Everyone there is a wholesaler. It's like, come on. I need some real investors. So, Gabriel, that is a great point. I love that you brought that up. Ultimately, guys, I hope this class helped. If you do have any questions, if you want the PowerPoint or anything along those lines, all I want you to do is to email us at marketing@questtrust.com, and I'm putting that here on the screen right here. Oh, if I could spell marketing right. Look at that. Ignore that one. Marketing@questtrust.com. There you go. That's the right one. Marketing@questtrust.com. If you want this PowerPoint, if you want more of these classes, just let us know. We'll send the PowerPoint right over. We're here to help you guys. Don't forget about QuestCon right around the corner, and make it as easy as you can for your lenders. If you're the borrower, cover basic fees like the $100 and stuff like that. Okay? Make it to where it's easy for them to get a hold of you. Make it to where you understand the process they have to go through, whether it's reaching out to their attorney and drafting up a promissory note, to setting up a self-directed IRA, to moving money from their current bank, directly to you. Make sure you understand the process. What can we do if interest in investing in syndications but not accredited? That's always tough, because you're right. If you want to be an accredited investor or you want to invest in syndications, most of them will require you be accredited. Now, that is what we call a 506C investment. Believe it or not, most 506C investments have a small amount where they allow for what we call sophisticated investors. Now, what does a sophisticated investor mean? Someone said, good job, Quincy. I'm Derek. Quincy's my uncle, but thank you. I'll let Quincy know. So what is a sophisticated investor? Someone that truly understands the investment and they built a relationship with each other. Prime example. If my dad was not a accredited investor, but I'm raising capital, my dad can invest in me. Why? Because me and him have a relationship. So it's nice to know that. So if you are out there and you are just a sophisticated investor and you want to try to get into one of these deals, start to network. And do more than just network. Actually make real friends. Go get some drinks with somebody. Go out to lunch or dinner. Mix and mingle. That's the purpose of all these events, so we can all get together. Now, a lot of syndicators will still say, hey, look, we're only going to accept accredited investors. We don't want to dip our toe in that pool. And if that's you, still be very, very careful, okay? Still be very careful, you as the sophisticated investor. Those rules are put in place to protect you guys, right? Overall, I really do hope that helped out. Once again, if you do want a copy of the slides or anything, reach out to us at marketing@questtrust.com. And I hope to see you guys at our next event. Sign up for QuestCon. It is a completely free event in November just for you guys to get some good education and network of individuals via online. And check out your local RIAs to meet people in person. All right, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Okay, Derek, thought you gotten younger. Nope. I'm getting older, and Quincy's getting older too. See everyone around. Bye, y'all.